This is Paul McGann, and you're listening to the Fiveish Fangirls podcast.
The tangents this week continue all the way to episode 447 of the Fiveish Fangirl podcast, and this is probably going to be a bit of a obscure TikTok reference that maybe 5 people will get, but do you like jazz? Welcome everyone to this week's episode of the Fiveish Fangirls podcast. Oh, glad you could join us. Let's start off like a jerk with the virtual table and see who's joined us this week.
This is Chrissy in Salt Lake City.
This is Holly from Wisconsin.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. Hello.
Hello.
Now I have to say, as someone from Utah, when you ask if someone likes jazz, you have to be more
Yeah,
specific.
I know.
Yeah, to be specific,
I said
yeah.
jazz, not the jazz.
Oh, I know.
So I spent a semester with the NBA, so I've got a handle on some things.
She's got the lingo and terminology down.
She knows.
Yes.
For
No,
my
there's
part,
this-
it's depending, like, what decade are we talking about?
Yeah.
Yes.
too. No, there's this guy I follow on TikTok, and he's like a comedian, but most of his videos are of his 4 cats, and one of them's name is Newt. He's got Newt, Frog, Toad, and Doug.
Huh.
ran out of amphibian lizard
Well,
things.
3 of them are orange cats, which means, 1 brain cell between them, and then Doug is a black and white cat. But anyway, he lives someplace where he gets wild animals outside his house sometimes, and one of them is a stray cat that looks exactly like Newt. So the cats, he does voices for the cats. So that's the premise of most of his videos, is his conversation with the cats, and he does all the voices. So, but the stray cat that looks like Newt, the cats have named him Terminute, like a robot. It's a robot interloper trying to pass himself off as Newt, but his thing is with a really robotic voice. He's like, "Do you like jazz?" So anytime I hear someone mention jazz, I'm like, "Do you like jazz?" But it's, an obscure TikTok reference, I'm sure. Unless you're in people who do voices for their pets talk, it's probably not what you've seen.
Probably not.
Which that itself, I think, is a decent sized niche, but doesn't mean everybody's seen everybody. So anyway, but yeah, anytime I hear the word jazz, I'm like, "Do you like jazz?" So, anyway, my weird tangent. So first up, the news. Got a lot of awards related news. So
That
first
time
up,
of-
because we're getting our Oscar nominations tomorrow morning. Yay!
Yay.
We also have the Razzie nominations.
these cracked me up. Oh my god.
Mhm.
I usually don't pay that much attention, but yeah, just reading the list. I mean, most of what's nominated, I totally get. Like, do we need a 10th Fast and Furious movie? No.
No.
Yeah,
But does
Winnie
the
the Pooh,
public-
Blood and Honey.
Yeah.
Does the majority of the public want another Fast and Furious movie? Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, they keep paying money to go see it, so I don't know.
Yep.
Yeah. But my particular favorite is the some of the nominees in the worst screen couple category, which include any 2 merciless mercenaries in Expendables 4, any 2 money grubbing investors who donated to the $4 million for remake rights to The Exorcist. Let's see. Worst prequel, remake, ripoff, or sequel: Indiana Jones and the Dial of Still Beating a Dead Horse.
Oh, jeez.
And worst screenplay includes Indiana Jones and the Dial of Can I Go Home Now?
Ooh.
Tell us how you really feel about that one.
Ooh.
Hey, I enjoyed it.
I know Chauncey loved that one. In fact, he ended up watching it with his parents over Christmas break. So,
Oh, is someone cooking?
yes, he is.
Someone
Speaking
making
of-
toast and
Yeah.
having a conniption fit.
He's making pizza. So,
Okay.
No, it's not a timer.
yeah. In this house, it is. It means the
Pizza's
oven's
done.
been on. It means the oven's been on for more than 5 seconds. So it's very sensitive smoke detector. So I think it's more of a heat detector.
Yeah.
than
I'm
actual
just
smoke.
making toast.
I don't think it would know what to do if there was actual smoke.
Right.
Like, what is this
It's-
stuff? Am I
It's
supposed to?
cold out. Sorry, we're heating the place up.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't want to take on the furnace. This is a cheaper way to do it.
Yeah.
Stop bugging me.
So, yeah, really. So
Anyway.
so there's that. We just keep on rolling. This is the
Yeah.
equivalent of the train horn, folks, for those that have been around long enough. So
Or my fire station,
yeah,
the fire engine roundabout call.
yeah. So on to other awards. We got our BAFTA nominations, which of course are the cross the pond equivalent of the Oscars. With Oppenheimer getting 13 nominations, Poor Things with 11, and Barbie with 5. And did not get nominated for best motion picture. So Barbie got the snub in that category. So and then everyone in the best director category is a first time nominee. So whoever wins is going to win the directing BAFTA for the first time, which odds are it's going to go to Christopher Nolan for Oppenheimer. So
Probably.
So, but there is that. So we'll see what happens with the BAFTAs next month. So,
and I think a certain doctor is presenting or hosting, if memory serves correctly.
Yep. And then we had the first TV folks, the Emmy Awards, which not really a whole lot of surprises there. Comedy series went to The Bear. Drama series, for the most part, went to anything related to Succession. So,
and a certain someone made history.
Yes, in the Outstanding Variety Special Live, Elton John Live Farewell from Dodger Stadium won, giving Elton John an EGOT.
Woohoo! Checky.
Yes. So that's pretty cool.
Very cool.
Yes. And then the few weeks ago, the Emmys did their Creative Arts Emmys Awards, which is like all the technical categories essentially. So again, this is like your casting, choreography, period costumes, sci-fi fantasy costumes.
All the stuff that makes these people look good.
Yes, exactly. Pretty much. So, sci-fi fantasy costume went to House of the Dragon, of course. Last of Us won quite a few for like prosthetic makeup, which when you're talking about zombies, of
Especially
course,
zombies.
yes. Stunt coordination, that's always good. Outstanding stunt performance went to The Mandalorian. So that's good. Outstanding production design for a narrative program, half-hour length, only murders in the building. So there's that. Miss Marvel won outstanding motion design. But outstanding musical composition for a limited or anthology series, movie or special, original dramatic score went to Weird, the Al Yankovic Story.
That is quite the mouthful.
It is.
But hey, go Al and
yeah.
Yes.
But then it also won outstanding television movie.
There you go.
So yes. Weird Al was very excited. He slept with his Emmy. How he did not accidentally poke his eyes out while
I was going to say those things are kind of sharp, aren't
they? They are.
Yeah, they look a little sharp and pointy.
Every time
I mean, I'd be
those wings just look like you know. Yeah.
I'd be putting marshmallows or cutting those pool tubes.
Yeah, really.
Oh, yeah, the pool noodles.
The pool noodles to protect.
Like the stuff you put on the corner of your like coffee table, so when you've got a toddler that's learning how to walk, they don't bash their face in.
Exactly. Got to sleep proof those things.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So, but I thought that was really cool. So I'm like, oh yay, Weird Al. Good for him. So there's that. Like I said, we get Oscar nominations tomorrow. So that's exciting. Bright and early. I don't know who the poor suckers are that are going to have to announce them. Look like they've been awake all day at like 5 a.m. Los Angeles time. Better them than me.
Mm-hmm.
And then, speaking of award winners, it's the latest episode of Gold Standard in your feeds, wherever you get your podcasts, with the penultimate episode as of recording with number 94, Coda. So we are now at Everything Everywhere All at Once, and Nick has confirmed that we will be letting everybody in on what we will be doing post Everything Everywhere All at Once. So obviously once we get this year's winner, we'll do it, but that's one film we have the rest of the year to fill. So and until next year's Oscars. So
right.
So yeah, but that's I'm excited. I'm excited to talk about Everything Everywhere All at Once. We had some clunkers the last few ones. I'm like, I'm excited at the moment that we're quote unquote done or caught up with a really good movie.
Every once in a while, they strike gold.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So that is the news. And then we got some feedback. Got some feedback from Shalane talking about The Crown. She says, finally we get to talking about seasons 2 through 6 of The Crown. Really enjoyed The Crown because it helped me become more of a British fan. She says, my British fandom is Harry Potter, Jane Austen, Shakespeare, The Spice Girls, Elton John, The Beatles, Queen, Sherlock Holmes, Andrew Lloyd Webber, One Direction, Downton Abbey, Tom Holland, and Millie Bobby Brown. That's a lot of really good British stuff. So
yes,
it's definitely all British. She said, I'm pretty sure it was you, Rachel, that got me into British stuff more, even though you don't like Jane Austen or Shakespeare.
Well, Shakespeare, given where she went to college.
Yeah.
I see where that that happened. Also,
yeah. We're uncultured here in India. We're all about the race cars and the basketballs. Hey, I will take a good Shakespeare or Jane Austen adaptation.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's some
I liked Romeo and Juliet.
Romeo. Yes, that one was fun.
West Side Story. 10 Things I Hate About You. You know, there's some good adaptations out there. And you know, The Lion King.
Actually, yes.
Yes. Well, it's just
Yeah, there
actual
you go.
straight up Shakespeare that I can't stand. So, but I did love Joshua O'Connor as young Prince Charles. He's another crush of mine. We were played young Princess Diana, and season 4 is around my age. Speaking of season 4, sorry, Shalane, I'm going to tangent just a little because I realized after the fact, we were done recording, and I was kicking myself that we were talking about all the cast changes and appearances of this, that, and the other person. Season 4, I forget what episode number it is, like 6 or something. I
want to say
Nick's,
so, yeah.
Yeah, Nick's cousin Janet, Dame Janet Sussman, who we interviewed on Golden Star. Academy Award nominated Dame of the British Empire, and Zan's and I's new older aunt BFF, is in an episode. She plays a publicist.
Nice.
So when one of the characters is coming to talk about maybe doing a book or something, getting it published, she's the person that he goes to. And I was like, wait a minute, I know that person. That face, I know that voice. I was like,
and that interview is so awesome. I hope you guys get to have another chance to have a sit down with her. I'd like to hear part 2.
Yes. Yes, especially now that she is forever immortalized in a certain Star Trek captain's memoir.
Yes.
We'll talk about that in another episode.
Does it happen to be the one that I messaged you about before we started recording?
Could be.
Okay.
You haven't gotten to that part yet, but you're getting close.
Oh, good.
Yeah. You're still in the 60s. You have to get to the 70s. So
okay, I think I'm getting there, slow but sure. Like I said, I could.
You're close.
I could steamroll through it, but I want to take my time and savor.
Yes. So, but yeah, it was just really wild to be watching The Crown, you know, several seasons ago and be like, wait a minute, I know that person.
That voice sounds familiar.
Yes. And I messaged Nick. I'm like, your cousin. She's in The Crown. He's like, I did not know that. She did not say anything. So she kept that one close to the vest, as it were. So yeah. So go back season 4. Dame Janet Sussman. That is Nick's cousin. So, anyway, back to Shalane's feedback. But I thought the finale episode of the series they would show the Queen's funeral, but they didn't. Plus, I wish we had had William and Kate's wedding. It was fun seeing Claire Foy and Olivia Colman come back at the end. My favorite is Claire Foy. She's amazing at the start. Also love when the Queen was playing with her corgis. Makes me want to have one. You have no idea.
Mom let us have a dachshund at one point, so
yeah,
might be all right.
Yeah, you got a farm. They are a herding breed, so if you have animals that need herding,
oh, trust me, they'll herd humans. I bet you.
Well, yes, that's why. Yeah. You either need animals to keep them busy or need another way to keep them busy. So.
Or sometimes it doesn't matter. The two of them
why I don't have one
She's
yet.
actually very good at it.
So many people are like, you love corgis so much. Why don't you have one? I'm like, because I'm aware of what the breed entails, and I do not. This is not a living situation conducive to that breed.
No.
Yeah. If I just wanted a little like sassy lap dog, then yeah,
Chihuahua mini pincher all the way.
Yeah, you know, a little Yorkie or a poodle or something. Yeah, one of those like really small, Irish greyhounds. You know, that would totally work. But yeah, no, there's it. The corgis need very specific living conditions, and these are not it. So we're not in any place to move.
Right.
at the moment. So
you'll be spending an awful lot of time at the dog park.
Yes. Yeah. So believe me, you will all know when the corgis are closer to becoming when I'm like, hey, I'm moving. So until that happens.
We bought a house, 10 acres, and a mule.
Yeah, exactly. She finishes. Yeah, they cast the best actor for the royal family because they did kind of look like them in real life, especially Elizabeth Debicki as Princess Diana. And then she said a quick follow-up email is just one line. I don't watch anime, so I don't know what the connection is here. So hopefully maybe you can explain it to me, Christy. She says, also realized I can watch anime shows since I watch shows that are British.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't watch anime, so I don't know what the connection is there.
Japanese. I mean, I suppose there might be some dub voice actors who are British, maybe. But I don't.
Like if you're used to hearing an accent, then it makes it easier to hear other accents.
Could be.
I don't know.
You'll have to extrapolate that on that,
Shalane. I have to ask to clarify that because I'm like, no.
Yeah, I don't watch anime, so I was like, there's a connection there. It's lost on me.
There's a slight tangent. I discovered a new anime that just started on Netflix that is interesting so far. Delicious in Dungeon. It is an title. It's an anime that it has a D&D twist, but one of the members of the party is like a chef. And it's just like, okay, well, with this monster, if we do this and do this and do this, chop this up, add those seasonings, cook this, here we go.
Right.
And there's only 3 episodes out, and they put a new one out every week. But so far, 2 episodes in, 2 thumbs up.
Alrighty then.
We have to get our get a temporary Netflix subscription once it's all out and watch it.
Yeah,
because there's some. As long this is gonna sound maybe a bit sacrilegious, but I gotta say I'm getting kind of tired of isekai. And for those who do not speak Japanese or know what isekai means another world, and it's basically somebody from the modern Japan getting. They die and are reincarnated, or they get, some cosmic wedgie happens and they end up in a fantasy world that operates on video game logic. The first few that I watched, I'm like, hey, this is kind of fun. And now I'm just kind of like, okay, we're done now.
This is not that.
I'm like, and they're done.
Yeah.
I mean, when you get to the where it's like you got reincarnated as a vending machine in a fantasy world, I'm just kind of like, oh, Japan. I love you, but oh, Japan.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm gonna have to figure out what she meant by I like British stuff, so now I can watch anime. I'm like, okay.
My guess is it has something to do with accents, but that could be. So.
Whatever. I don't know.
The logic of youth.
Yes, and sometimes her logic jumps quite a bit. Not that that's a bad thing. Just takes some of us a minute or two to catch up.
Yep. Well, either way, we appreciate your feedback, Shalane.
Yes. As always.
So, moving on to this week's main topic, awarding earworms.
Earworms ahead in a plenty.
Yes. And some potential not safe for work imagery, depending on where you consume things. So, for the most part, I believe YouTube has the censored version.
Yes, I believe so. Yeah. I think I know which song you speak of.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. So we are going back to the Queen catalog with the album Jazz.
And there's a lot of good songs on there that are on the Greatest Hits album.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. It is.
And there are some songs on here where I'm like, this may not have been a hit and well known, but this is a pretty catchy tune.
Yes, this is the actual first Queen album I ever listened to on vinyl.
Mm-hmm.
When I was growing up.
Yeah. So the recording of this album is a little bonkers.
Yeah.
Because they had supposedly they'd attended they didn't have a title for the album yet, but they were working on songs. And they were starting to do rehearsals and songwriting and cleaning stuff up and figuring out this, that, and the other thing. Y'all know. And that was July of 1978. The month before, Queen got a really big tax bill. And realized that they needed to hightail it outside the UK as quickly as possible.
Oh dear.
The scene from the Muppets Caper. Here's their options. What do you want to do? Sneak out in the middle of the night?
Mm-hmm.
Very popular choice.
Yeah, because the bill was to the band as a whole, but specifically, they needed to do it for Brian and John, because Brian was getting ready to become a dad for the first time. And John was expecting his second child. So they didn't want to end up in jail while they got some fresh children. So Brian took off to Canada, which I guess the Commonwealth, the tax issues do not extend to the Commonwealth.
Thank goodness.
And then everyone else went to Nice, which is in France. And then Brian eventually joined them. And while there, they attended the Montreux Jazz Festival, which is in Switzerland. And that's where they likely got the inspiration for the title of the album. And while they were there, they happened to run into David Bowie, like you do, who was working on his album, Lodger. And he told them that they should go to this particular studio in Montreux. So that's where they ended up going to. And they did preliminary recordings. They started full production the day after the jazz festival. And they just worked there, although Brian's birthday happened to fall during that, so they went to the 18th stage of the Tour de France, which likely inspired bicycle race.
And if memory serves, Freddie might have been in the bath. Whilst composing this, taking it with a grain of salt.
Yeah,
as popular story goes.
Yeah. So they spent a few more weeks in Montreux, working on a handful of songs. They took a few more days off to celebrate Mr. Taylor's birthday, supposedly trashing the hotel room in the process. Freddie was reportedly seen swinging on a chandelier decades before Sia would do it.
Not surprised.
So take that, Sia. Copycat. Eventually, they moved back to France, where they went to a different studio, and they would spend the rest of the month working on songs. Finish overdubbing in September, mix the lead single before sending it to New York for mastering. It was completed middle of September. They mixed the rest of the album. The beginning to the middle of the month. It was officially completed on the 14th of October. Released 10th of November, 1978. So yeah, this is very much. I mean, I think we say this for every Queen album, but it is very much like you can just kind of close your eyes and listen and be like, okay, I know who wrote that. Oh, I know who wrote that. I know that. Yeah.
Yep. This one's Roger. This one's Freddie. This one's Brian. That one's most definitely Deaky.
Yeah. There's a few instances where they seem like you're kind of hearing chords that you've heard elsewhere, but I mean, you might as well copy yourself. You're one of the greatest bands of all time. Copy someone, copy the greats. That means yourself.
Exactly.
But it's definitely an eclectic mix. Still,
yes. Oh yes.
Of song styles, something Queen is known for. Not necessarily having a cohesive theme throughout an album. There's a few exceptions, but a lot of their albums it's all like, okay, we're doing this now. That being said, you get like what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 songs in of the 10 of 13-ish 13 tracks, and it takes like a really sharp left turn, and I was like, okay, we're doing this now, and it like goes right back to where it was kind of going. So, usually it's like it's not a straight line, but maybe you got some gentle curves, maybe maybe roundabouts there where you have to take like the second or third exits. But nothing extreme until you get to this one particular track, and then it's like, okay, we're going a completely different detour here for a moment. So, of course, this being the 70s, we are talking records, albums, sides. Kids. So, side one. It starts off with Mustafa.
Yes.
Which
when I first heard that, it's like, oh wow.
Yeah, well, and it starts like calm. And then it picks up, and if you're listening, with like I was in my car, which has a really good stereo system. So when it picked up, I'm like, ooh.
Yes.
Yep, it cooks.
It cooks, yes.
Yeah.
Because I was waiting for you ladies' reaction to this one, because it's just like I said, when I put the needle down on that, and I heard those opening for the first time, and my dad had a pretty sweet stereo setup at the house I was growing up in before we moved, and yeah, same thing. It's like, ooh, I like.
Yeah, it's definitely a nod to Freddie's heritage.
Oh yes, most definitely.
Although some of it is gibberish.
Yes.
Not all of it is proper Arabic or Persian.
Right.
Some of it is just gibberish. It sounds kind of Persian. But and because it starts off kind of quiet and then builds up, it feels like it's building up to something, and they would use that to their advantage on tour. So they would use this kind of as the build up into like Bohemian Rhapsody. Instead of just like, ending one song and then going right into, Mama just killed it. Yeah. You use this, especially because it's talking about, Allah will pray for you and, that sort of thing. So going into this, the story that's told in Bohemian Rhapsody, it kind of makes sense. Although sometimes they would also use it as a lead in to Hammer to Fall, which tells a completely different story, but it
fits.
It fits. It's all about the build up. So, but yeah, it's not a super long track, but it's nice. It's a nice start. It just starts off very calm, kind of works its way up, and then it's like, and then we get into Fat Bottom Girls.
Yes.
The transition is like, okay. Yeah. I don't think there's really any good way to transition into Fat Bottom Girl. So, you just kind of run with it.
Yep.
So, but, Fat Bottom Girls. It's so catchy.
Yep.
It's kind of one half of a twofer kind of duo short story-ish with Bicycle Race because they reference each other.
Yes. So Fat Bottom Girls will be riding today.
Yep.
So, it's just like, I mean, what can you say about a song called Fat Bottom Girls?
Yes.
I mean, it's what it says on the tin.
Exactly.
It's Freddie singing from the perspective of a guy that likes his girls with some meat on their bones.
Yes.
Which,
Now we all know and love the meme that says astrophysicist Brian May postulated that the turning of the world does indeed revolve around, is powered by Fat Bottom Girls. He was assisted by Mr. F. Mercury. And it's never been disproven, so now it is fact.
Yes. Every single time
several iterations.
Yes. When I come across that one, it's like, okay, it's been a while. Reblog.
Yep.
Sure.
Yeah. And those of us that have a little more junk in the trunk can appreciate being appreciated.
Yes.
So. Yeah, I'm here for it. So.
Me too.
But it's still just funny. So, and of course it's been, that's the song that's been covered quite a bit. They used it on Glee. They used it in the Glee Live tour. I know because I was there. Queen with Adam Lambert. It's been part of their set list. According to Michael McKean, it was the influence for the song Big Bottom in This Is Spinal Tap.
Not surprised.
Yep. So yeah. Although it's written by Brian, so but as Christy was saying, it's been scientifically proven that he would know. So it's his thesis as a physicist. Fat Bottom Girls.
Oh, he knows what he's talking about. I'm not gonna argue with him.
Nope. You got the credentials over me. So
he's got the doctorate.
And then next up is a Jealousy. Penned by Freddie. Not that Freddie would ever know anything about jealousy.
And I love the almost sitar strings.
Yes, because it's not.
It's almost like a Harrison.
It's a modified acoustic.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
Brian, yet again pulling out the stops.
They replaced the bridge, changed the flat, and then put a piece of fret wire. In it, among this, in between the flat and the strings, which gave you the quote unquote buzzing sound that sounds kind of like a sitar. So, so it's not a sitar; it's a clever dupe
Yep.
Something that they had done before, because they used it on Queen too with White Queen.
Okay.
White Queen, so.
And just as a bit of trivia, similar thing happened with the Piano Guys, although that was by accident because Steve Nelson, they were on tour somewhere or traveling somewhere, and he had his cello. Well, it got damaged in transit.
Ooh.
But it wasn't bad. In fact, it started sounding like a sitar. So that was they did a music video covering an Indian song from India, and they got a lady to dance, do an Indian dance for them on the music video. It's actually pretty cool. I think it's called like "Don't Worry, Child." Now I gotta look it up. But yes, that can happen. That story, that's what made me think of that.
This is very cool. So, yeah. Billboard said that the effect made the song sound Beatlesque. Gee, I wonder why.
Yep.
Certain Mr. Harrison, maybe.
Yep.
Probably.
So that, and then Bicycle Ray.
Yes. Yeah. From a slow jealousy into that.
Again, really not a good way to easily move from one to the other. So
it kind of should have been,
Well, and the fact that Bicycle Race just, it immediately starts with bicycle, which, is one of my, I don't know if it's necessarily meant to be a gag, but to me it is. It's one of my favorite audio gags in the first season of Good Omens. After they hit Anathema with the Bentley, and they put her in the Bentley to take her back to the village, and you just see her sitting in the back looking very confused, and immediately the car kicks into, because the car only plays the Queen. It immediately starts playing Bicycle, and I bust a gut every single time.
It's just like, why couldn't you have played that right when the bicycle was coming, so we would have had a little warning, like, hey, look.
No, that's not how the Bentley works. The Bentley is like the TARDIS. She's gonna do what she's gonna do.
Yep. Because it should have been Fat Bottom Girls, Bicycle Race, and possibly Jealousy, but hey, it is what it is.
Yeah, but that's every time they put Anathema in the back of the Bentley, and then it's just like bicycle. I bust a gut every single time. It's such a good gag that I don't even know if it's meant to be a gag, but it's hilarious to me. So obviously written by Freddie after they watched some of the Tour de France. And it's essentially a guy singing about how he doesn't care about like politics or religion or pop culture or anything. He just wants to ride his bicycle, maybe with some fat bottom girls.
So if the music video's anything to go off of.
Yeah. So like I said, if you go to YouTube, I do believe that because they do have, because there's more than one version of the music video,
right?
But the imagery that most people equate to this one, there is a censored version, and then I do believe that is the version that is up on the Queen YouTube channel, so that all of the TNA is digitally covered. But yeah,
speeder blur, as it were.
The music video was a bunch of models, all professional models, 65 of them, in a bicycle race at Wimbledon Greyhound Stadium, buck ass nude.
Yep.
And I do like. I think this is a story on the thing. Is that the place they rented the bicycles from didn't actually want the bicycles back.
I think I
Yeah.
remember hearing that. Yeah, and then
Yeah,
also
what I saw is they had to buy the seats. They could rent the bicycles and
But they
bring the
had to buy them.
bicycles back. Yeah, the
But they had to buy
wheels, the
the seats.
pedals, the handlebars, the bells, and all that. That was fine. But all the seats, they had to buy and keep.
You keep it.
Yeah, you keep it. Yeah. But I think too, there was also something with the inside packaging too. When the
Yes,
album
there
first got
were
released.
some packaged versions of whether you bought like a particular version of the album or the single or whatever. Yeah, there was a fold out image landscape of all the women on their bicycles waiting to start their bicycle race. So yeah. That amuses me because it always makes me think of, and this is
The
why they
Beatles.
were friends. No, this is why these people ran in the same social circles and were friends. Monty Python in Monty Python and the Meaning of Life. One of the segments when they get to talking about death is this guy has committed a crime or something, and the punishment is death, but he gets to choose the manner of his death, and therefore he is chased through like a rock quarry by a couple dozen topless women wearing like knee and elbow pads and just like little slinky bikini bottoms, but their boobs are free, and they're chasing him, and eventually they chase him to a rock cliff, and he falls over the cliff and dies. That's how he chose to die. So it's in the same manner of humor. So it's like, hey, there's a reason that these people knew each other.
Yeah.
Kind of friendly. So that just British humor. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they say British humor's dry.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're just not watching the right stuff, man.
Nope.
Yeah.
Oh, not at all. So yeah. Yeah. So, but yeah. It's funny. So yeah, some of the singles that were released where the B-side is Crazy Little Thing Called Love. It's a single woman on a bicycle. She's got a very teeny bikini red bottom on, so you can see some of her butt crack. And then I guess in the US they added like a top, even though you can't see her boobs, but you can tell she's not wearing a top, so they put a top on. Photoshop. So and I and it what really amuses me is you get to like the bridge where you would expect maybe like a cool guitar solo or something. No, it's bicycle bells.
Yep.
Yes. Dinging away.
And I wonder how much fun they had doing that.
Oh, I'm sure a ton.
Reliving some childhood memories.
Yeah.
Well,
I could just imagine someone bringing in like a box full of just different types of bicycle bells, and the guys going through them to see. Well, this kind of sounds like an A flat. If you know, this one kind of sounds like a D.
No, Freddie was doing that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think my favorite part of Bicycle Race, because this was the era like music all had to like have some sort of statement. They all are musicians. Yep. So many of them were just making commentary about world events and politics and whatever. And then there's Freddie. He's just like, I do not care. Just
he's taking the Mickey out of everything.
Yeah. And in fact, I think there's even an interview. In fact, I know there is, where he like someone point blanks at him like, "What are you trying to say with your music?" He's like, "Nah, I'm not a John Lennon. I'm not a this. I'm not a that. I just want to make music and entertain."
I mean, well, John Lennon is also like, screw them. when they're like, what are you trying to say here? And John's all like, I'm going to write the most ridiculous thing ever and let them try and figure it out. Yeah.
Try to synthesize.
Yes. Like they're all cut from the same cloth.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that deep, people.
Nope.
Sometimes it's just a silly song about a bicycle race, You got a song about loving their car.
Exactly.
And about
Roger.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, really, just
just have fun with it.
Yeah.
It has to be super serious.
Yes.
Yes.
This isn't Shakespeare. And then penultimate song on side 1, which is this is one of those ones where it's like, I don't think this really became like a big hit, but I was like, I kind of like this song. If you can't beat them,
join them. Yes. If you can't beat them, join them.
Yeah, which is a John Deacon composition. Although Brian plays all the guitars, even though John wrote it. But it's a fun song. I like it.
Yeah. So
I was like, I don't know this one that well. That must mean it wasn't that popular, but I kind of like it. So. And then the last song on side 1, Let Me Entertain You, which of course written by Freddie. You don't have to hear that one to know it's written by Freddie just by the title.
Oh.
Right.
So a lot of references in this one. We'll sing to you in Japanese. They dropped the name of Elektra and EMI and Gary Stickles, who was their tour manager at the time. So
Rock a la carte. And the tour de force.
Yep. Let me flip the album over to side 2 with Dead on Time. Brian May. Excuse me, which Mercury, Freddie, doing what Freddie does best, hits the highest notes in his register at a C#5. Which I'm not entirely sure what that means, but I know Freddie's vocals, and it's like, I'm pretty sure if I tried to hit a note like that, I'd make the dogs in the neighborhood start howling.
Right.
Break a glass or something.
Yeah, kind of sounds painful.
Unless you got the vocals to do it, which not a lot of people have that sort of range. Freddie, few people that could hit notes like that. So,
especially not dudes. I'm just gonna say it.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. If you listen carefully, the song ends with the sound of a thunderbolt. In the album liner's notes, the thunderbolt is credited to God. It was recorded by Brian on a portable recorder during a thunderstorm, but they credited it to God in the liner notes.
Okay.
Well, I mean, how else are you going to get one?
Exactly.
Really determined, like, I need this. It's going to sound perfect. You got the right one, so you just got to wait for there to be a thunderstorm. There with the tape recorder, and you can record dozens of them, and you're just like, no, that one just doesn't sit right. No, that one's closer. Well, ooh, this is the perfect one.
Welcome to the world of Foley. I was thinking if another life somewhere that I probably would have been a Foley artist for film and television. Can't leave it all to God. he helps sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Next up is John Deacon's other contribution to the album in only 7 days.
7 days.
Like story type song about this guy who goes on vacation and he sees this woman, and he goes back to the same location the next day and she's not there, and he's sad, but then goes back the day after that, she's there.
Yay!
And he, by the time that his weeks of vacation essentially is up, he's fallen for her hard, and she's like, sorry, I can't go with you. We don't have anything beyond this place and this time. And he's very sad about it. It's like, it only took 7 days for me to find this great love, and I can't keep her
alone.
It's sad. I mean, like, sad, but it's a it's a bit of a tragic love story. So
yes,
very much so.
And this is another one of those turns where you have the "you're dead" thunderbolt, bang, and then we just drift into
like
this
I said,
one.
It's a bit of a turn, but it's not like, oh my god, I'm losing control of the car.
Right.
You're just kind of like, oh, there's a pothole there, gotta veer around it. Don't want to bust a tire.
Right.
Dreamer's Ball, which is Brian May's tribute to Elvis.
I love this.
Elvis had died the year before, in 1977. Which, it's pretty. I mean, it didn't necessarily evoke Elvis when I first heard it. Even after reading it, it's like, this is supposed to be a tribute to Elvis. I'm like, I still don't really feel like it's a tribute to Elvis. It just kind of, it's Freddie,
right?
Singing about going, to this dreamer's ball, and I'm envisioning, like the masquerade ball from Labyrinth,
Exactly. I mean, I would say a crazy little thing called Love is more of a tribute to Elvis.
Yeah. But
that's just me.
Yeah, it makes Brian feel better. Then more power to him.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is where you lose complete control of the car. As this road you're driving down just takes a real sharp turn off a cliff into a ravine of disco.
Yeah,
with Fun It.
Yes.
Like, there's this, only, in only 7 days, it's this, sad love story. And then Dreamer's Ball, which is kind of this, ethereal type fantasy kind of feel to it. And then it's like 80s, late 70s, early 80s disco electronica track. And I'm like, okay, we're going here.
Yep.
All right. Sure. Thank you, Mr. Taylor. For this very random. It just compared to the rest of the album, it's like, it just
one of these things is not like the other.
I mean, I don't hate it.
No,
but it doesn't quite fit. Like, this should be on Hot Fuzz or something.
Hot Space. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this was the beginnings of that.
Yeah.
No, was a thing, and they were like, "Hey, what's popular?" And sometimes people, you get people will be criticized for quote unquote selling out, but it's like at the same time, it's like we want to get paid,
right?
We want people to buy our music, so yes, we want we want money. So
yes,
did.
Yeah, but it's just like
as
I'm just driving along in my car, and I'm like, wait, did my Spotify just break? What happened here?
Yeah.
Like, looking at
as One
I end up in
reviewer-
hot space here.
Yeah. Did it accidentally hit the shuffle without meaning
Yeah.
to?
As one
You know?
reviewer I watched some time ago said, Queen would have played polka if it would have gotten paid.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But what amazing polka it would have been.
Oh,
That
yes.
is true.
And they would have been
That is
dressed up
very
to the
true.
nines in the polka garb. I'll tell you that much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
Not wrong.
I'm not gonna judge.
Yeah. But it was just like coming out of left field here. Like, okay, this is the thing we're doing.
Yep.
And then you finally get control of the car again. And you finally corrected it and you end up with a ballad.
Yep.
By Brian. Leaving home ain't easy.
Easy, yeah.
Which, that is not some random woman doing the bit in the bridge. That is Brian's voice sped up.
Cool.
In the, yep. So. So if anyone's like, oh, a woman's not credited for this track, there is no woman on that track. That is Brian. Sped up. Given the Chipmunks treatment, but in this case, to make him sound like a woman. And then another one of my favorite Queen songs, Don't Stop Me Now.
Mm-hmm.
Which probably is the well-known songs off of this album. This one's the one that probably gets played the most, even now on modern radio. So,
yes,
it's been used
and commercials. Yep.
Yeah, it's been used in commercials. It's in Shaun of the Dead. It's in there's the speaking of jazz, like 20s jazz-ish version in Mummy on the Orient Express.
Oh, that's
Yes.
right.
Doctor Who.
Yep.
So yeah, it was a song that it pops up a lot in different uses. So
And every time I hear it, I'm like, I don't know. I'm always just surprised to hear it for whatever reason. Just it ends up in the most random places.
mm-hmm.
I'm just like, okay.
But it's so much fun, yeah.
Mhm.
Well, okay, let's do this. We're not expecting it to.
Yeah.
show up, and there it is. I'm like, okay, I'll take this. This is good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Although originally when they were working on it, apparently Brian was not that huge a fan because he thought it was promoting Freddie's hedonistic and risky lifestyle. Too much sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
As happen, yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but now that it's been used at like weddings and funerals,
Right.
he's come to appreciate it a bit more. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess when you're like concerned about your friend, you're kind of
Right.
like, what is
Mhm.
is this a good idea? But
Right. Yeah.
either way, neither here. nor
I like it because I think it's fun. It's like I'm having a good time. Don't stop me.
Mhm.
And then the last track is like it's a track, but it's also like here's a reminder of some of the stuff you just heard on this album
Right.
type thing.
Yeah.
Like here's a quick reminder of some of the
Little
stuff.
recap.
Little recap. So it's more of that jazz
Uh-huh.
written by Mr. Taylor.
Yeah.
He plays most of the instruments, sings all the vocals. But it also has clips from Dead on Time, Bicycle Race, Mustafa, If You Can't Beat Them, Fun It, and Fat Bottom Girls. among other just kind of sounds. So it's like it's a track, but it's not necessarily a song.
Right.
Because it's not like a medley or something like that. It's just kind of like, we need to fill these last like centimeters of groove in this part of the record. So what can we put here?
Let's just put what we already did and call it a day.
Like, it costs a small fortune to print these things. We're gonna get every square centimeter on this plop of vinyl we can.
We got nothing. Let's ask the drummer.
So that's the tracks on both sides. They released 4 singles. Bicycle Race with Fat Bottom Girls on the other side, so it was a double A side, which includes the fold out. The bicycle, the all nude female bicycle race. Then Mustafa was released only in Bolivia, Spain, Yugoslavia, and Germany, with Dead on Time as its B-side, except in Yugoslavia. In that case, it was in only 7 days. Don't Stop Me Now / More of That Jazz. But it's Don't Stop Me Now, More of That Jazz in the US and Canada. Elsewhere, it's in only 7 days on the B-side. And then Jealousy, Fun of It, was released in the US, New Zealand, Brazil, USSR, and Canada. Except in the USSR. In this case, it was Don't Stop Me Now on the other side. So, and of course, they did a tour for this particular album, the Jazz Tour, their 6th headlining concert tour. They went to North America, Europe, and Japan. There were 4 legs, 79 shows across North America, Europe, and Asia. Rolling Stone said of the band's Halloween concert in New Orleans, when they were launching a U.S. tour in support of their jazz album, Queen threw a bash in New Orleans that featured snake charmers, strippers, cross-dressers, and a naked fat lady who smoked cigarettes in her crotch.
Oh.
Interesting.
So, of course, anything that Rolling Stone has to say, we kind of have to take with a grain of salt.
Grain of salt, yeah, exactly.
Considering the review that they gave of this album in 1979, when Dave Marsh of Rolling Stone panned jazz as, quote, more of the same dull pastiche from Queen, who said he displayed elitist notions with some of their musical choices and lyrics. Marsh said, Fat Bottom Girls treated women not as sex objects, but as objects, period, the way the band regards people in general, and finished by famously tagging Queen, quote, the first truly fascist rock band.
I have a question.
Yes.
Has anyone heard of Dave Marsh?
I have.
Oh, okay, fine.
Yeah. Well, the thing is,
my point is, I don't know Dave Marsh from a hole in the ground, but I know who Queen is. So
yeah. Well, and in 2016, to their credit, Rolling Stone published their list of 10 classic albums Rolling Stone initially panned, and this was one of them. And they actually poked fun at his negative review, saying sometimes a reviewer just seems to have a really, really low opinion of a band, which seems to be the case with Dave Marsh and Queen.
Yeah, well, let's just put it this way. Dave Marsh was kind of in the Who's back pocket because he wrote their biography, I Hope I Die Before I Get Old.
Mhm.
So consider the source.
Okay, fine. But yes.
Yeah, when I read that, when I heard about what them, it's like, buddy, damn
Yeah.
fighting words.
Oh, critics.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Really? Fascist?
Yeah.
Like, you keep using that word. It does not mean what I think you think
What you think it means? Yes, exactly.
The more things change, the more they
Or
stay
they
the
stay
same.
the same. Yep,
Yeah.
you got it.
Yeah. So not everyone hated it. I mean, some reviews were lukewarm. Some people really loved it. Louder Sound ranked it the 4th best Queen album. They called it some of the most satisfying moments in Queen's career. So, yeah, you know, it did okay. It didn't hit number 1 anywhere in the charts. That's not the end of the world. It did hit number 2 in the UK. So that's not too bad. 6 on the US Billboard 200. In the US, it is certified platinum. In the UK, it's certified gold.
All right.
Platinum in a number of other countries, including Canada, the Netherlands, and Poland. So it cannot complain about that. So, and they did there's a reissue in 2011. So once Queen's association with EMI ended, they got a new record deal with Universal. So all of their albums were remastered and reissued in 2011.
Yes.
The deluxe edition includes 5 additional tracks on a separate EP.
I have the deluxe editions on. I think I have all of them. One way or another. So they're great, and there's some extra goodies.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I on my master playlist on Spotify, it pulled from the original album plus the 2 bonus tracks from the 1991 Hollywood Records CD reissue, which has a remix of Fat Bottom Girls and a remix of Bicycle Race, and the remix of Bicycle Race is definitely a remix. They both are very 90s sound.
Yes, 90s remix, yes.
Oh, bless their hearts.
So, it's not a bad album. Yeah, it's considering that they were looking at jail time for tax reasons, quickly had to leave the country. So that
they didn't do too shabby.
I think they put together a pretty good album, and obviously they figured out a way to continue to work with granted their next album releases a live album, and then after that is The Game, which was recorded in Germany, so it's not like they're headed back to the UK to record anything anytime soon.
But had to wait for the heat to die down a little bit.
Yeah.
So at this point they're well into their career. This is their 7th album. So they could have sat on their laurels and just made more of the same, but no, they did what they do, where they stretch themselves. They do different and interesting things, whether it's different song styles, obviously the album art in this case, It's based off a design that Brian saw on the Berlin Wall. Piece of graffiti on the Berlin Wall, supposedly. So, yeah, the album before this was News of the World with everyone's favorite scary robot.
Just with a friend.
Yes. Yeah. Just with a friend. So, but yeah, I mean, there's still a lot of a lot of Queen for us to cover.
Oh yes, and I'm looking forward to it.
Discography is I think maybe we've done what, a third at this point.
Yeah, probably.
So,
and we've hopped around a bit, so
yes, we have. So, well, I mean, yeah, we release as many albums as they did over 22 years.
Right.
So,
yeah. Oh, it's good stuff. Even the stuff that isn't their best, it's still good. It's still fun.
Yeah.
Still a good time. So we'll keep going. Of course.
Yes.
Anyway, anything else we want to?
Give it a listen is all I gotta say.
Yep.
I think you'll be pleasantly surprised.
Even if you don't, even if it's not an album, you're like, I'm gonna listen to this from beginning to end all the time. Even if you just want to listen to your favorites. You know, there's obviously there's 3 very recognizable songs on there with Bicycle Race, Fat Bottom Girls, and Don't Stop Me Now. But some of the others are not bad.
Right.
On there, you know, Let Me Entertain You is quite fun, and I like If You Can't Beat 'Em. So I think that's kind of a sleeper.
Yes.
So.
Sure. Awesome.
Plus, it's just Queen.
Yes, of course.
Awesome.
It's kind of like Doctor Who. Yeah, we'll take even mediocre Queen if it means we
Any
get
Queen is good Queen.
Yes.
Anyway, so if any of our listeners want to chime in with their thoughts on this album or anything else we've discussed today on this episode, send us some feedback via our email, which is fiveishfangirls@gmail.com. You can also get to visit our website, which is thefivishfangirls.com. You can leave a comment there or on our social media. We also have our show notes, links to like YouTube and Facebook and all that great stuff. We have a Patreon. If you would be so kind as to help support the podcast, if you can. It all goes back into the podcast with the expenses that kind of just happen because we're podcasting. Yes, podcast requires a little bit of funds. So, but you know, whatever you're comfortable with doing, but you know, whatever that is, we just appreciate you listening and commenting, interacting with us wherever it is you do so, and yeah, just grateful to have you along for this bicycle ride.
Yes. Yes.
But I'm wearing
nicely done.
I'm gonna ride a bicycle.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I like bicycles. I haven't owned one in a very long time. Again, once I'm living someplace where it makes more sense, I will have one. So, I even plan on getting one of those covered trailer things you can attach to the back of the bicycle most people use for their kids.
You can use it for the corgi.
You know the dogs are gonna go in there. So my brother rode around in one of those when he was a kid. I was always jealous because he just got to ride. He didn't have to pedal.
Like, how come I have to do all the work and you just get to sit?
Yes. The only cycling I do is on a stationary bike at the gym. Which, still exercise. And there's Wi-Fi. But anyway. Things you didn't know we'd have in the future, Freddie. With that, we shall sign off for this week.
This is Chrissy saying goodnight from Salt Lake City.
This is Holly from Wisconsin saying good evening.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. Proof that Freddie will stretch himself for lyrics, because we know he does like Star Wars, because when he's not riding a bicycle, he's riding Darth Vader's shoulders.
Exactly.
Thank you, our Fiveish fam, for joining us on this week's geeky journey. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. Stay connected with us on our website, thefiveishfangirls.com, and follow us on most social media with @FiveishFangirls. Plus, check out our nonprofit, Fangirls Give Back, to see how we're making a positive impact in our community. Until next time, stay nerdy and let the squee continue.